everybody. Today's going to be a fun time with Beverly. My name is Brana. Normally, it's Crystal who is running the live webinars with Beverly, but this week we do not have a person doing the live dials in their account this week. So what we're going to do is talk about different topics that maybe as agents you come across, or that we've seen agents come across that Beverly can assist you with. And if any of you do want to speak, please raise your hand in the system. I'm happy to let you speak directly with Beverly and ask any questions. So maybe before we get into any topics, if any of you wish to have a conversation, or ask a specific question to Beverly, please let me know, and I'm happy to give you access so that you're able to have an open conversation.
Don't be scared.
Yeah, no kidding. This is a great opportunity, guys. It's a rare opportunity for you to get like this one-on-one. Dan has a question, so let me allow him to talk. Dan, please unmute yourself. Dan, you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, absolutely. Please shoot away. Go ahead and ask Beverly a question.
Awesome. Thanks for the opportunity. Hey, Beverly. I've been following AgentLocator for a while, and finally I decided to join AgentLocator just a few weeks ago. My question for Beverly is, because I am new to AgentLocator and I really am having a hard time to find some clarity on how to set up our what is it called? Filters, to create filters, to create the systemized plan. I did watch one video that you had with one of the clients of AgentLocator where you showed them the step-by-step how to create filters. I was wondering, it was an old video, so I was wondering if you have some new tricks or something new that you would like to share outside of that video. Not sure if you recall that video or not. And I have about 900 leads right now.
So you had them imported. Where did they come from?
I was using another CRM, so I imported everything from that CRM to AgentLocator to keep it all in one place.
And how organized were the leads in that CRM when you did the import, Dan?
I would say about 30% they were organized by like hot, cold type of status or stages.
Yep. That's always the challenge, right? When we go
Yes.
from one CRM to another, it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg? And one thing that I can 100% honestly tell you, since I started organizing leads, I started working leads in 2008 and really got into the nitty-gritty of it in 2013. And I have never changed the way that I've organized, because as leads are changing their dynamic while they're looking, right? Everyone's intentions are very much different today than they were back in 2008 and 2013 as they were searching. But the one constant is engaging these leads, finding out where they are in the process and keeping them. That's always been the consistent. And I come from the philosophy, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So when I look at the organization piece of priority, from the time a lead is incubated to the time that we close them, because that's the goal, they're going to fall somewhere in that medium from new to closed. Because we're never going to move them all the whole way to close, but where are they going to get hung up in that process? Are they going to get hung up in a lead that we've never spoken to, which is one of the statuses? Are they going to be in, I've spoke to you and you qualify for time on my calendar and I'm going to nurture you until I close you? Or I spoke to you and you have a situation that you're really not in need of my service and you're not a high priority and you don't really qualify for time on my calendar, so I'm going to tag you. So as we're moving them up that process, we're keeping them organized. when I look at the call filters have always been influenced by when the lead registers and their activity within the website. Because our main goal is to have as many conversations as what we possibly can. What is it going to require from us to create the conversation? And that's really, at the end of the day, the only question that we need to be asking ourselves whenever we look at generating leads. Because a lead is a lead until we have a conversation. So we don't have any idea, and the lead is really worthless. It's like a name in a phone book. If there's even phone books that they make anymore, I don't know. But a lead is just really a name in a phone book until we have that conversation. So when we create the filters, the way that AgentLocator has designed each and every nook and cranny, it's giving us the ability, and I like to use that phrase to make it dynamic, because the more we depend on our people skills or other people's skills, the more it's going to fail us. And not in an ignorant way and not in a facetious way, but in a reality, right? Our job and our highest and best use of time is to be out with people, is to be talking with people, not to be behind a computer shuffling names and phone numbers around and trying to figure out who's going to have a conversation with us. And in the beginning, I learned that I was spending way too much time trying to figure out who I called yesterday, who I called the day before, who needs a phone call today, who needs a phone call tomorrow. And it was just maddening. So when I really broke it down to the brass taxes of who's my priority of the people that I've never spoke to, it's always going to be our new leads coming in. So if we put them into a filter, and the way AgentLocator has created each little, I don't even know what you want to call it, filter, for lack of a better word.
We say follow-up filters.
Follow-up filter. Yeah. So it gives us the ability to say, okay, I want all of the leads that just registered in the last day in this bucket. Because if we can take away the thought process out of it and we can just sit down and push buttons, we're not thinking about anything, we're just doing. Just like brushing our teeth in the morning. I don't think about what kind of toothpaste I'm going to brush my teeth with in the morning. I just pick up my toothpaste and brush my teeth. I don't think about what kind of toothbrush I'm using, if I'm going to use an electric toothbrush, if I'm going to use a regular toothbrush, if I'm going to use a hard bristle, a soft brush. Like, I don't think about that shit. I just pick up my toothbrush, my toothpaste, and brush my teeth. It's like that. There's no thought in it. We just do. And we do it out of such habit that we don't even think about, like, did I brush my teeth this morning? Well, I had to brush my teeth, right? And that's really how we want to attack our leads, with that same type of mentality. I don't want to think about what they're looking at, when they registered, what happened. I just want to sit down, click this button, and know this is who I have to call and why. So when we look at the new leads of being number one priority, we want to get to them as quickly as possible. If we're out doing what we do and we miss the new lead coming in, as the industry has so eloquently taught us, speed to lead, if we miss that speed to lead, we have that ability to get to them very quickly to know, okay, they just registered in the last 24 hours. Then if they don't answer the phone, they can go into that next bucket of, I really want to be aggressive for the next 2 weeks. Because if you're a new lead, something triggered you to want to come online to Google search a home. Or depending on how you're generating your leads, there's multiple ways of generating leads. You can have Facebook, you can have your Google, you can have your home evaluation leads. Whichever way, something triggered that person's curiosity enough to give up their personal information. I got to know why. That's all I want. I just want to know why. We have a higher ability and a chance of a conversion if we can have that conversation sooner than later. So my leads that register in the last 2 weeks, if I haven't talked to you and you not respond to text, you're not respond to email, I want to be really aggressive with my phone calls. Then if I'm really aggressive over those 6 to 8 attempts in 2 weeks, I can't maintain that capacity because I have new leads that are coming in. So then I'm going to put you into a new bucket. After the second week, after the 14 days, you're going to go into that third bucket if you're staying actively engaged with the emails that are being sent to you. If you're actively engaged, you're going to fall into a bucket that I'm going to call you once a week. And as long as you're actively engaged, I'm going to keep attempting you once a week. But if you go 1 month without opening an email or looking, you're falling off my bucket because you're not really as high of a priority. Because if I attempted calling you that very first time, and then I've tried you for 2 weeks while the automation is on with the texting and the emailing, and you have not responded, my chances of engaging in you are very low. So I want to start moving my time and attention to the newer leads that are coming in. So we're always cycling them. And when we set up that dynamic filter based on the lead's actions, meaning they're opening emails, they're coming back to the home search, we're never going to miss that person that goes inactive for a month, 2 months, 3 years, 5 years. Because as soon as they open an email or as soon as they looked at a property, they're going to pop back up into that filter again. So if you look at your filters and kind of put your gaming hat on and say, okay, what is going to make the most sense to my habits in my day that I want to create a dynamic filter that these leads are going to move in and out. And that's the whole purpose of the filters. And we're great, Dan, at overthinking stuff. We're really, it can't be that easy, right? What am I missing? Because again, the industry has taught us 2 hours of lead gen. I'm sorry, I don't have the attention to sit down for 2 hours and just dial. I want to get something out of what I'm doing, and I want it to be quick. Because no, let's face it, if you are an active agent that is turning deals, you don't have 2 hours a day to sit in front of your computer, which is why everyone's wanted to hire it out. Well, that and we're all afraid of phone. But the reality is, in a perfect world of consistency, you should never have to work your database on those. I'm going to preface this on those leads in your filter more than 15 minutes a day to really hit your highest priority. Now, that's not taking away from the leads that you've had conversations with that you want to nurture, that you want to take that time to have those phone calls and follow up with them and have those conversations. That is a separate category of really being proactive in your database. So I don't remember the specific video that you're speaking about, but one thing I can guarantee you is it probably went through your priority 1 filter, your priority 2 filter, your priority 3 filter, which is hitting all of your top priority leads in your database. Because the majority, unfortunately, of our database are going to be leads that we've never spoke to, they're inactive. That's the law. It's always the Pareto principle, right? It's that 80-20 rule. Mm-hmm. So 80% of your leads are going to be inactive that you haven't spoke to. The only way we can change that is being more consistent and being more proactive with the leads that we are working. So the beautiful thing is you have all the inactive leads. You can blast out an email, you can blast out a text and try to get engagement out of them. But the beautiful thing about the tagging and letting the leads that are a lower priority kind of go, you can work them by the masses. So not so much sitting down and thinking, okay, I got to call like these, I got to make 100 dials today. Think about it in touches. And don't make the mistake of sending out 100 text messages at one time because you will be scared. Who is this? What do you want? Yeah. You're a slave then to responding to text messages. So Dan, go ahead and unmute yourself. And I know I said a mouthful there in that like 10, 15-minute little dialogue, but did it make sense? And is that what you were kind of looking for?
Yes, it definitely made sense. And yes, it is on the edges of what I'm looking for sure. And I'm sorry, I don't want to take too much time, but the only follow-up comment I want to make is that because I have already I already have this many leads. I'm skeptical to go out and generate more leads just because I have not organized them and mastered the organization of these leads in AgentLocator yet.
Yep.
So I'm worried that if I go ahead and generate more leads, it will be very chaotic just to manage how like follow-up plans and all that stuff. And I assume that you would suggest the same thing, that organize what you have first before go out and generate more leads. Am I correct to say that?
So here's my suggestion, and it really comes down to your specific situation and what your goals are for 2023 and what you want to do. Because when you're generating leads, if you generate a lead today, you're not closing them tomorrow, right? It's a long process. So the leads that you would have coming in right now are going to be tomorrow leads anyway, right? They're going to be 3 months, 6 months, 9 months, a year out. So my opinion, when you're dealing with a massive import, I would still have leads coming in and work the leads, because what's going to happen as you're working the leads, you're creating the organization in your dashboard while the leads are coming in. They're going to continue to fall into that same organization while you're building your business. Now, if you have 5 clients on your plate right now and you got 10 under contract, I would say, whoa, hold up and really put some systems in process. But depending upon how much time you have in your day, you have to think about what is your highest and best use of time to meet the goals that you're looking to set for 2023. And you know, that ultimate question, how many licks does it take to get to the center of the lollipop? How many conversations does it take to set the appointment to close the deal? So we need to know how many leads is it going to take to have the conversation. So I believe, depending on where you are in your business, both can be done at the same time. Because if you think about it in baby nuggets, an average agent can handle 30 leads a month, 25 to 30 leads a month. A rock star agent can handle 50. Because 30% of those are going to be bad phone numbers, I promise you. So when you're taking in the equation of 50 leads and 30% being bad phone numbers, you're already looking at 5 being, and my math may be off. 30 would be 100, 15 of the 50 leads would be bad phone numbers that you can put on a bad phone number campaign. Now you're down to 35 leads. Out of those 35 leads, you're only probably going to have 10 conversations with the leads that are coming in. So now you're down to 25 leads that are going to start to funnel through their activity and their actions. So it's really not too overwhelming while you're working the leads. So what I do when someone says, Bev, clean up my dashboard, I would take those 900 leads and I would source them in your status based on who have you closed and who's a past client, and then kind of work it to where I've never spoke to these people. And oh, you said, I think you felt that they were about 30% organized whenever you did the import. So you may not know who you spoke to, who you haven't spoke to, but what better time to dig in. Now, let me ask you, Dan, did your notes import over? Are you able to see past interaction with these leads?
Some of them, yes.
Okay. Some of them, yes, some of them, no. So how many of them are past client and sphere out of the 900?
Very small amount, very small.
Okay. So most of these 900 have been generated how?
Through online, PPC.
Okay. Beautiful. So what I would do now, let me ask this question too before I suggest this. When you did the transfer over, how many of them were actively engaged in that CRM looking at properties?
I would say about 30%.
Okay. That 30%, do you know who those leads are that were active in Agent Locator?
Yes, I do.
That's your top priority. That's where you start. Put them in a filter. And I would just put them in a filter, like top 30% or active leads, right?
Yeah.
Have they been put on a new search? Have you sent out the email saying, hey, upgraded my website, check out my new search?
Yes, I have.
And you've done that with all 900?
No, I didn't know, and maybe someone from Agent Locator can confirm. I don't know if we can, through Agent Locator, we can send a mass email.
Yes, you can.
For auto search listing alerts. Auto listing alerts.
Bronna, go ahead and explain that process, because this is really important.
So you can go ahead and filter your leads and send a mass email or even a mass text through the system. And when you do that, the system will then take all of those leads and then just send it out at once. And you can customize those messages. So you can already have templates created and customize that out. You can even automatically put them on a campaign, all, 800 of them or 900 of them, whatever, put them on a campaign that automatically goes out on a regular basis for you to stay in contact with them. So you don't have to think about that. So if you've got your leads, for example, tagged like Beverly is suggesting, where let's say they're tagged as a non-responsive, or they're tagged as never spoken to, or whatever it is that you've tagged them as, you pull them all up. And let's say maybe out of the 900, you've got 300 that are like that. You can put them on any type of campaign that you create or use within our system that's going to automatically send them messages that you don't have to think about it. And then it's just automatically going out on a regular basis.
And Bronna, is there I know the answer to this, but I just want it to come up.
Sure.
When you do an import,
Mm-hmm.
and you have leads that are not yet on Agent Locator search, and we want to let our leads know, hey, we just improved our website and your home search.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what word I'm looking for. Click here to register for your new home search.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, you can absolutely create an email. I always suggest to create it as a template. Create a template which has links already embedded in that email to your website, or to a landing page of some sort, or to a property search page, whatever it is you want to do in terms of your website. Create that. And then when they click on that, the system's going to recognize that they've clicked it. They go to your website and they go now and register with their contact information. So if they're already in your system with the correct information, it's not going to update that information because it's correct. But if they're changing that information, it'll register them as a new lead in your system. So you may end up with them duplicated, which is fine because their names are still the same in there, but now you've got the correct information. So you can always get that older lead and put it archived so you're not having to look at that lead. And then at that point in time, now you've engaged them. And now any search that they've done, you're going to see on a regular basis. The other thing that you can do is you can send them their personalized home locator app link in those emails. So a lot of people these days aren't necessarily in front of their computer because, as we know, we're all out and about and on the road, especially real estate agents, right? How often are you actually sitting in front of your computer unless you're at a 9-to-5 job or at work in some way? Well, most people are on their phones, which is why we created the Home Locator app. And so each one of those leads that you've imported now has their own personalized Home Locator app. So when you're sending out that template, you can send out also their personalized link. So now if they go to the home locator app and register that way, no problem. Now you've got them engaged on their phone as well and not just on the computer.
And that is the gold, Dan, of when you send those emails out and you can create that engagement, you're organically building that call filter because these leads have raised their hand because they've actually re-registered or they've actually signed up again. So that's showing you out of those 900 who is potentially still in the market.
Mm-hmm.
For sure. Awesome. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it.
So
No
I
problem.
would break up the emails that you want to send out of who you want to get put on if they're not already on a search. And the 30% that were active previous to you importing them into Agent Locator, you're going to want to personally call them and reach out to them. And I don't leave voicemails just because I don't have the time, right? 23 seconds next, 23 seconds next, 23 seconds next. I just want to get to the person that's answering the phone because I don't feel anything replaces a phone conversation. And if I leave a voicemail, they're just going to block me because they're not looking to have that conversation. And the chances of that person being ready right now today is 1 in hundreds. So I don't like to leave voicemails just for time. And also I don't want them to block my number. So I would just put, let's say it's 300 people. I would have those 300 people in a filter named whatever. And you could filter it, just tag them. Like, all right, I'm going to tag these 300 people by high priority. And every day go in there and call 5, call 10, call 15, call 5 more, call 10 until that list is at 0. Or until you've called every single one of them. And then you can rotate them out. But they deserve a little bit more of your time because they were already previously active and you don't know where they are in the process. They're probably sooner in the process than the leads that were inactive. The leads that were inactive, you have a higher chance of them not being in the process and having already purchased. So that's why I like to kind of automate those and build my list organically, because if those people that were all inactive, whoever signs up or registers, you're like, woo, oh, hey, I'll call these people.
Mm-hmm. I've had, just talking about previous leads and current leads, and we kind of touched upon it a little bit, but I think it's an important topic where I have agents say to me sometimes, I'm not going to call my older leads because it's a waste of my time and they're dead. And I've commonly said to them, I wouldn't discount them so fast. What are your thoughts on contacting leads that are older and contacting leads that are new? Like the importance as well as whether or not it should be done in terms of those older leads. Because I know I have my idea and I know what I explain, but I think it's really important for agents to understand why it's important to call those older leads, even though you haven't spoken to them in a year or 2 years or however long it's been. What are your thoughts?
So this is 100% raw and reality. You give me a website, you're Bev, clean it up. And I sit there and I look at a database of 700 leads that have only been called one time, and it was 3 years ago. Oh my God. That's my first reaction, right? Because I'm like, oh my God, it's so much work. And oh my God, these people are so old. I'm human, right? That is my human first gut reaction because it's real. Oh my God, they're old, they're not, right? That's it. That's the first thought we go to. And then I'm like, okay, Bev, old story, stop it. These people, they get up every day, they live in a home, they maybe move. We have no idea where they are in the process. Nothing's different. Nothing is different other than when they registered. So the only thing we have to change is our mindset and our dialogue. So with an old lead, please don't call them and say you were looking at homes online. They'll be like, no, I wasn't. Because it was so freaking long ago, they weren't. right? They're thinking about right now. All they're thinking about is, do I want to have a conversation with this person I don't know? And they sure as shit weren't looking at homes. No, I was not looking at homes. Just get rid of you. See you later, right? So when we engage with leads that have looked a long time ago, respect that. Hey, Dan, this is Beverly, blast from the past. At one point, you were online looking at some homes, and I'm just wondering if you've ever made that purchase or if you're still in the market. Oh, yeah, I bought a year ago. Oh, yeah, I bought 6 months ago. And the biggest percentage of conversations you have are going to be that. But the beautiful thing about the shift in our market, how many people wanted to buy last year and didn't buy because they couldn't?
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have a lot more leads in our database that put their home shopping on hold because they couldn't get a damn house.
Mm-hmm.
And they just lost the link, whatever. There's just as much gold in those old leads. And here's the thing, you get leads that are 6, 7 years old, they're even more beautiful because they're on their round 2. They're getting ready to move again. And you can pick them up the second time around because most agents don't use the same, or most sellers don't use the same agent that sold them the home.
And the other thing,
don't stay in touch.
yeah, absolutely. And the other thing that I tend to tell people, and I could be wrong, so please correct me if I am, I share with them that when you have an older lead, it's actually more likely you're probably going to get them on the line faster because they don't have 5 to 10 different real estate agents trying to get in touch with them all at the same time. So it's a new phone number to them because they don't recognize it from a year or 2 years ago. They pick up that line. You happen to get them. Now you can have that conversation.
Very true.
Whereas a newer person is being contacted regularly. So they're seeing stuff regularly and they're saying, whoa, 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 I'm not ready for this yet.
So I want to highlight when you're saying they're getting contacted regularly and their phone's ringing a lot. That is not because agents are so great at making phone calls.
No.
That is because leads are really great at registering on 10 different websites.
Yeah.
So I jump on a website right now, I get a phone call. I jump on a website late tonight, I get another phone call. I jump on another website tomorrow, I get another phone call.
Mm-hmm.
So traditionally, that person is only getting one phone call per agent. So if their phone is blowing up, and that's why I went from, it's not so much about speed to lead, it's about being consistently calling them. Because when they get that bug up their ass to go, oh my God, I got to see how much his home is for sale, and they're on 5 different websites, ain't nobody calling them a month later, I promise you. So your new leads become old very quick. And to your point, when we look at a broader database and an older database, my opinion is you have a much higher chance of having that conversation and a conversion because they're really not out there looking intentionally yet.
Mm-hmm.
And how many conversations I've had of people saying, oh yeah, I was just waiting until spring, or I was just waiting until here, right? Well, what can I do in the meantime? I don't want to lose you again. I don't want you to forget me again. What can I be doing in the meantime? What can I be doing while you're in the information gathering process or while you're in the waiting process? When do you want me to contact you again?
Mm-hmm.
And those are the important conversations.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Absolutely. So before we get into, I actually have a sort of like a question that maybe can help some of our agents. Different tips and tricks in terms of converting leads. So, a lot of our agents say, what's the best thing to say to a lead when you get them on the phone, or how to talk to them? Like, do you want to be sort of business all the time, or do you want to kind of be that more casual, relaxed, personable? Like, what are your thoughts surrounding that?
It's always being empathetic and curious. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Because when we're empathetic, we're coming from a place of understanding. We're coming from a place of care, and it's not about us. When we come from a place of curiosity, it's asking those questions to find out where they are in the process. So if we can remember those two things while we're having conversations and really become a great question asker, that is what leads to your conversion. They don't care about how great you are. They don't care who you are. They don't care what website you have, what company you're with. All they care about is meeting their needs. So we have to find out what are their needs that they're looking to be met. Because if we try solving their problem before we even understand where they are in the process, we're not talking with them, we're talking to them.
Mm-hmm.
So when we ask them the questions of where are you in the process? What are your future plans? What has to happen for you to be able to make this move? How do I fit into your process? Where do I fit into the process? How can I help you? Whereas if we're asking them how many bedrooms, how many bathrooms, how big of a house, what location, how big of a yard, none of that freaking matters if they have no intention. None of that freaking matters if they have a fear of their home not selling, if they have a fear of interest rates, if they have kids that aren't graduating university for 2 years. None of that matters. So we have to get to the meat of what their intention is in the process before we even talk about what kind of home they're looking for.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And that's what leads to conversion, because that is a different level of conversation.
Can you give us some examples of how you would start those conversations to get that information from the leads?
Sure. Hey, Dan, this is Beverly. I saw that you were online looking at some homes in Toronto. What's the typical thing that you hear leads are saying, Brana?
Yeah, I wasn't looking. I wasn't looking. I was just, I was browsing online, not for me, for my son.
Awesome. So is your son in the market? Is he looking to buy a home?
I don't know. I just know he mentioned it and I was just looking.
Gotcha. So where does he live now?
Up north somewhere. He's probably got to move for work purposes. I'm not sure what he's doing.
And is it just him? Is it a family?
Him and his family.
Gotcha. So would they be possibly moving closer to you?
No, not to me. I'm moving more for work purposes than anything else.
Awesome. Is there anything that I could do to help the process along? Is there anything specific that you were looking for that you may have a question?
Not me, no. No, not me.
And in regards to your son, on a scale of 1 to 10, how serious do you think he is about making a move?
I'm not really sure.
Gotcha. So this is where I'm not going to convert everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you're not a priority in my database right now. Is there maybe a small piece of potential? Maybe. But I'm not even talking to the person that might be making the move, and you don't even know if that person that might be making the move is making the move, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing that I can do to earn your business because there's really no business there to earn. All I can do at this point is offer what could I do possibly in the process. And to your point, right? I have no freaking idea. I have no idea. I was just wondering. So stop it at that. I got all the information I needed. So now I can tag you as looking for somebody else.
Yeah.
Make my note. And then if I pull my tags later on down the line, looking for somebody else, and I come across your name, oh, hey, the last time we talked, you said that you had mentioned that your son may possibly be moving. Would you be just a little bit impressed?
Of course, absolutely, because you remember that information. And that's something I tell my agents all the time that I train with. The information you gain, you want to mark those important pieces down so that, and in the CRM, you want to mark them down so that when you come back to that lead, you've got that information on hand. Like, do they have kids? How old are their kids? Do they have a dog? Do they live in a condo? Are they looking to expand? Are they looking to downsize? Like, whatever those situations are, because all those pieces of information will come in handy at some point. one
Well,
day.
and just like I asked you, is it just your son or is there a family?
Right.
Right? It's those pieces, because if it's just your son, he might be looking for a 1-bedroom condo. If it's a family, he's probably looking for a home, right?
Right.
It's all those subliminal questions that we can
Mhm.
ask. Now, if you would have said, "Oh, I'm just looking," awesome. So what are you just looking for?
Right.
Well, I don't know. And then it's like, well, what is your current situation? Do you own or do you rent? I own. Oh, how long have you been in your home? 5 years. So you probably have some pretty nice equity. So
Absolutely.
what's prompting the move? What would have to happen in your life for you to make that move?
Right. It's all about asking those right questions.
All about asking the questions and not trying to convert. It's about having the conversation to find out when or even if you can fit into their life and
Mhm.
not get like, why should I get frustrated with you because you're looking for your son and say my leads suck? You're a real person wanting to help out your son. You really kind of don't suck, right?
Right.
But we're so quick to say our leads suck because they're not meeting our expectation of putting someone in my car to go sell them a house or putting a sign in your yard.
Right.
So if we stop trying to convert every single name and phone number in our database and really switch our mindset to finding out where they are in the process and how we fit in and how we can organize them, we're going to really improve our conversion ratios.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't even like to talk like, what's your conversion ratio? Like bullshit. Like you can't even do that. There's no right way. If someone says, I have a 40% convert, bullshit. I have a 5% bullshit. Like you don't know. Unless you are going from the day that you started generating leads to the date, there's no way to properly do it. We're still closing leads from 15 years ago that never bought with us until now. So how do you do a proper conversion? You can't.
Mm-hmm.
Conversation, you can. You can say, I have X amount of percentage of conversation based on the leads that you have made contact with. And that's where the rubber meets the road. And
that's an important point that you just brought up in terms of having leads that you're closing 15 years later.
Mhm.
You know, one of the things that I find interesting is a lot of agents feel that if they haven't gotten a conversion with a lead in the first 3 months, they're going to leave them alone. But what they don't realize is that those leads aren't necessarily ready to buy or sell in 3 months. They may not be ready to buy or sell in 2 or 3 or 4 years and are only just thinking about it now because they're just slow in the process. How do you feel, or what would you suggest the best way to deal with those types of leads that are taking so long, or the agents that kind of have in their thought process that, you know, we should be converting these leads in 3 months and making money and closing them right away, you know, as opposed to nurturing them? Like, what are your thoughts around that?
Do you have kids?
I do. I have
How old?
2. My son is 24 almost, and my daughter is 19 and a
Oh,
half.
this is so good. Okay. So when we give birth, we can't wait to hear what our baby's going to sound like when they speak.
Mm-hmm.
When they're crying, we get frustrated because we don't know what's wrong. We don't know how to fix it. We don't know what to do.
Mm-hmm.
When they start talking, we start thinking about what their voice is going to sound like as an adult.
Yeah.
We're never really appreciating the moment that we're in. We're always thinking, what's it going to be like?
Mm-hmm.
Your kids are 24. Have you not enjoyed the complete process and every single memory of the last 24 years?
Oh, absolutely. I've soaked it in as much as I possibly could.
Our leads are the exact same way. Treat them like a baby. Our leads are no different than going through the birthing process to the I'm learning how to talk, to I'm learning how to act like a child, moving into the teenage years, moving into the adulthood. The process is exactly the same when a lead comes in. You're trying to get to the point of having the conversation. You're learning how to have the conversation with them, and then you move them along the process. You can't rush your child from birth to being 24. You certainly can't rush a new lead from moving into a house tomorrow, from selling their house tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Let your leads age at the age that's appropriate for them. Now you got two kids, one probably matured a lot quicker than the other at the same age.
A boy and a girl. So they absolutely mature differently.
Right? There's no kid that is identically the same that says, okay, when you're 15, you'll be this mature. When you're 20, you're this mature.
Yeah.
So there's no lead that says, okay, when you're in my database 3 months, you're going to be looking. When you're in my database 6 months, you're going to be buying.
If somebody could predict that, they'd be rich.
So if we look at our leads like birthing a baby, and it's going through the process and literally enjoying that process and stop being so attached to the outcome. Because the reality is you weren't really attached to the outcome of what your kid looked like at 24 years old.
Right.
You weren't really thinking about what they were going to look like and what they were going to be. Yeah, we think about like, what's their profession going to be, but we're not attached to it. We're just trying to get through the damn day.
Right. Yeah.
Like, oh, homework and I'm dating and right. You're just trying to
And
get
all of their problems along with it.
and
Yeah.
all their problems along the
Yeah.
way. You're just dealing with it as
Yeah.
you're going, and which is exactly what our leads are.
Right.
Dealing with it as we're going.
Right. So that just,
I'm an analogy queen. I love analogies.
I love that actually, because I think it, having those analogies really puts it in perspective so that you can really visualize it and see it. You know what I mean? It just reiterates about not giving up on those leads that are older in your system just because they've been sitting there for a long period of time. Like
You can't really give up on
continue
your
to nurture them.
kids, right? Like
Mhm.
I have a 23-year-old son that he's kind of just sitting at home playing video games.
Yeah, welcome to my world with my 24-year-old
Right?
who's only just recently starting to get off his butt.
I'm not giving up on him. I haven't said he sucks and eliminated him out of my
Right.
life. It's you I don't want to say you cuddle them, but you attempt to keep planting those seeds, and that's all we can do. We're not going to win them all. And if we even remotely try to think that every lead that comes in we're going to convert, you're setting your own self up for failure.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. So, some people talk about, and this might be the last, kind of question or topic that we'll be able to do in this time, but some people, talk to us and say, oh, I only email, or, oh, I only text. I won't call because they haven't engaged with me. What are your thoughts in terms of doing all three: calling, emailing, texting, and surrounding that and your processes, or what you think should be done or how it should be done?
So you remember the saying back in the day, by land, by sea, by air.
Yep.
Right? Well, it's 2022. By email, by text, by phone. We need to really identify the lead's favorite form of communication. And the only way to be doing that is to be reaching them multiple ways. Email's my worst. Text is okay. Call's my best,
Mm-hmm.
which is probably why I like to call.
And why do you think call is the best for you personally, as opposed to text or email?
When I ask a question, I want a response or hang up on me. I don't want the ghosting of a text. That drives me bananas. Because when do you ask the next question? Okay, you didn't answer the question I just asked. Do I ask the question again? Do I ask another question?
Mm-hmm.
Right? I'd rather have a conversation with you, and it's easier for me to have a conversation, because I think one of the biggest objections I hear is everybody has an agent.
Mm-hmm.
I can't convert you via text if you tell me you have an agent. If I'm having a conversation with you, I can take it a little bit further by asking you more questions. Because you may be telling me you have an agent, but at what level are you committed to that agent? I've had people tell me that they have an agent that they've never even met, that they were only sending them emails through online. You really don't have an agent. You really haven't committed anybody. But if I'm on the phone with you, I can ask you the questions of, okay, if you have an agent, have you written any contracts, or have you been in any homes? No, I haven't been in any homes. Or yes, I've written 5 offers and we lost them all. Tell me about that. What happened? Why did you lose those homes? Again, it's coming from a place of curiosity and empathy. Tell me about that. Because I promise you, the people that have lost 5 homes are kind of giving up faith, right? They're either going to exit the process of looking for a home and take a hiatus, or they're going to be pissed off at that agent and they're like checking out because they don't trust that agent anymore. And then if I can proceed with, has your agent looked at our off-market properties? Have they found you a home before you found it online? Are they looking in the neighborhoods that you love that there isn't a home on the market yet? No. Is that something you would like for me to do if I could possibly have the opportunity to earn your business?
That's a good one. That's
You
a really
can't
good one.
text that. You can't email that.
No, you can't. And, you know, the other thing too is through text and email, you know, the perception of what you're writing and the tone is always so different than being on the phone. Like so many times people text and, you know, I know like even in my husband's business, you know, he has people text him all the time and the tone sets him off every time he reads it because it's probably not the way the tone is meant, but it's the way it comes through. And you don't know where that person's headspace is at the time that they read that text or that email. So I agree with you 100%. Phone is really the way to go. And they can hear your voice. They can hear the inflection. You know, they can hear the sincerity, the empathy, you know, that you're genuinely going to be there to assist them.
And really where it's at now is just the video text. Just a quick letting them know that you're a real person, because there's so much artificial intelligence going on right now.
Yeah.
You know, even in the phone calls, you know, it's, you talk to robots and sometimes you don't even know it's a robot because they're
I know.
really good at, and like, God, they got me, right? Like, it's like, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I was totally been had, you know, and it's when people know you're real, they take a different perspective of it. Because let's face it, I don't care who you are. I don't care what is going on in our world that is so just completely jacked up. People love to be heard, and people love doing business with small business. People innately want to help, which is why they ghost you when they feel bad because they committed to somebody else.
Right.
They don't ghost you because you're an asshole. They ghost you because they feel bad.
Yeah.
Most of the time. And that's why I always like to call a spade whenever I talk real talk to them. You know, if I leave a conversation with somebody that I was engaged with for a month, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and they're ghosting me. Hey, I just want to know if you've moved on, if you're not in need of my services, can you please just let me know? Because I'm going to continue to call you until I find out, because that's just my job.
Right. You're right. Absolutely. Honesty is always the best policy,
100%.
and being straight up with them is always the best to go, because they're going to be like, okay, I got to just like either cut this off or just say, you know what, I'm just not right there yet.
Yep. And
you know,
fun with it. Is there a chance you're going to cheat on me? Is there any other agent in your world that you're thinking about cheating on me with? Have fun with it. And then it just like brings light to it. And then there's not that elephant in the room. There's not that contention, you know, because they'll be a little bit more honest with you if you make light of it and you have fun with it.
Yeah. Yeah. Be real. Be a real person. Whoever you are naturally, don't change who you are naturally when you get on the phone with your lead.
So much easier said than done.
I know. I know. I teach people and talk to people about that all the time, but you're right. It is so much easier said than done, because you think that it's like when you're meeting somebody, you know, when you're meeting the in-laws for the first time and you want to give that impression that you're this amazing person, And so you're putting on this show for them. And at the end of the day, that's just not who you are.
How long can you keep that up? You know, and
Right.
as salespeople, we have that natural tendency to overpromise sometimes, and then we can't follow through. And they feel that.
Yeah.
They may not feel it in that first phone call, but they're going to feel it in the future, because you just can't maintain that. And it's you attract the people that you're naturally meant to attract at that time. And by having real conversations, that's where it's at. Just ask those questions. And as we say, curiosity and empathy are the two words that are going to lead your conversion.
Absolutely. Well, this has been awesome. I think it's some great conversations that we had. Dan, thank you so much for
thank you
giving
so
us
much
your questions, because I think it really will hit home for a lot of people who, watch this video, who are newbies like yourself into Agent Locator or lead generation in general. So thank you, Dan. Beverly, thank you so much for all of your wisdom and your advice. We really, really appreciate it. And if what we're going to do, guys, is the video will end up on our YouTube channel. We will also upload it on our Facebook as well. And all of you who are here today will get a copy of the conversations that have happened today. So we hope that all of you have a fantastic rest of your afternoon this afternoon. And if any of you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to your direct training individual, or, contact our support team, and we're here to help.
Okay. And you can always tag me in the Facebook group.
Yes, there you go. Tag Beverly, and she can answer any of your questions. And please feel free to ask questions in our Facebook group as well. If you're not in our Facebook group for whatever reason, if you contact our support team, they can add you to our private Facebook page, where you can get a lot of tips and tricks. Agents ask questions there all the time that maybe you're thinking about, and just haven't gotten out there to ask it, and just kind of went, oh yeah, I would love the answer to that sort of thing. So please feel free. Wonderful. So we're going to sign off here, guys. Everybody have a fabulous afternoon. And thanks again, guys. Have a great day. Bye, y'all.